Man, that was an awesome game last night. And also, we almost had the trifecta because the Yankees, beat the Rays. They did what they had to do. Loizaga was great. Jordan Montgomery was great. And Chapman comes in, closed the door. There you go. You have that over there. The Mets have, a ninth inning comeback, which was awesome in itself. And Marcus Stroman was great yesterday. And I know he didn't want to come out of the game. Of course, anybody that is competitive and wants to stay in the game, he wanted to stay in the game. There's no question about it. But they picked him up. He didn't get a loss. He pitched really well. And they got key hits. And Albert Almora Jr. running into center field told me all I need to know about this team now. This team is balls to the wall. I don't care what you say. So we almost had the trifecta last night. And here's the two frustrating things for me from last night's Lakers-Knicks game. Number one was the final shot of regulation. So I thought Julius was going to get the ball, spot up, and just hit a jump shot like he had been hitting all night.
Sure.
And he tried to do the Derrick Rose floater for whatever reason. That's that's his intuition. That's his basketball IQ. That's what he thought he was doing. And we almost won it right there. And it would have been unbelievable had that ball gone in. Had that ball gone in, you would have heard Knicks fans screaming from Montauk all the way down to the Jersey Shore.
Sure.
I mean, it would have been unbelievable. Okay, so now we go into overtime. They're losing in overtime, but they fight back. Because that's what they do, Al. They fight back. And all right, so I feel like Thibodeau is going to come up with some play at the end of the game, and we're going to get a wide open shot. We have plenty of time. There's no issues. And unfortunately, the ball ends up in R.J. Barrett's hands, who had a terrible night last night. And he has to take up almost a half quarter when in actuality, they didn't have to do that. But you could see that the Lakers extended their defense. And you're right. I mean, I do believe that they miss quickly. And, Neely Keene is out there, hits a big shot. There's no question about that. But, that game last night, had we won the game last night, we would have come in here this morning. We would have been high-fiving. Everybody would have been jacked up. And I know that there's disappointment and frustration. But I got to tell you, that team watching that game last night, that was hockey on hardwood last night. Now I know why LeBron James didn't want to play in that game. Because it was going to be everybody was going to get knocked around. Yeah. Guys were going after the ball. Both teams playing hard. I mean, that you got your money's worth. If you were Spike Lee and you spent $10,000 to go to the game, you got your money's worth, although your team lost.
Yeah.
It was, I'm telling you, G, it was like I may have gotten 2 hours of sleep.
No, I understand that you're fired up about the team and they played well.
They're going to be okay, I'm telling you.
No LeBron, obviously, but but the thing that frustrated me more about then the final shot and then also overtime was the Wesley Matthews putback. That was the thing that annoyed me. I understand under the basket, it's not like you had two of your biggest guys there. It was R.J. Barrett and it was Derrick Rose who got muscled out of there, and Rose was great last night. This team wouldn't be here without him. But watching that was frustrating because that's something that we've seen them do all year is get that big rebound, get more rebounds, make sure that when the game is on the line to get that ball, and they weren't able to do it.
What I didn't like about it, like when you watch that replay, I know it drives you crazy. But when you also...
Because that's the game.
I know. Noel, I don't know.
That's the game.
You could, I know that if you get the rebound there, you win the game. I understand that. But you had two shots at it to win the game, and you had your best player had the ball at the end of regulation. And then you could really see it if you watch the highlights of the last shot by R.J. Barrett. Julius Randle is standing there saying, give me the ball. Why aren't you giving me the ball? So I saw a little frustration from Julius right there. But then again... I don't know what R.J. Barrett was doing.
Yeah, I mean, he had a miserable night the entire night.
Like, if I were him, I would have been like, don't give me the ball because I haven't done anything all night long. And then to have him, have the ball in his hands at the end, it was rough. There's no question it was rough. But man, what a game!
Yeah,
they had a 10-point lead. I mean,
7.5 to go.
Right, and and these things in basketball change quickly. And, you could see Tom Thibodeau coaching his ass off last night, screaming on defense again, and everybody's into it. And it is heartbreaking, yes, but we'll forget about this, and they need to forget about this because they have to win their next 3 at home. They just have no choice. They got to go out there. Listen, we are now ramping up. We can get more fans in the building now. And we got to help this team across the finish line.
Yeah, and I didn't hear it after the game last night, but just reading the quotes and listening to some of the post-game sound after the game, these guys were really disappointed. Julius Randle was putting it all on his shoulders and missing that final shot in regulation. Tom Thibodeau was really upset about the lack of rebounding in that situation with the putback with Matthews. Julius Randle said they all played till exhaustion. I mean, this was one where they knew what was on the line. They knew the stage, the national stage they were on last night against the Lakers on TNT. So they're really upset about it. But one thing we've seen from them is anytime they've tripped up at all, they always regroup. They always bounce back. They do play better at home. I mean, I did like the Julius Randle mentality, too. I don't know if you heard him. He goes, people are probably going to say that 3-3 on this road trip is good. He goes, I wanted to go 5-1.
Well, you said 3-3 at the beginning.
I did, but now
you're happy. But I was like,
I'm not happy after that, though. You know how when it plays out.
I know. You don't want to see a loss that way. But now you got the Spurs, Hornets, and Celtics, and you got to just take care of business at home. And it starts tomorrow. I don't care what anybody says. It's just, I don't know. That was an unbelievable game. It was a great basketball game.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of these.
It had everything that you wanted.
We're going to see a lot of these in the postseason now, too.
But how great was it that the Knicks, and they have been doing this, all right, the Suns game wasn't great, but these last two LA games were unbelievable.
They were.
Come on, man.
Yeah, they were.
And they were 1-1 against the two LA teams. So I understand all the frustration.
But they should have won the game, man. LeBron didn't play. Anthony Davis hurt his groin. I understand it's a great game, and I don't want to be negative about them.
Andre Drummond.
Yeah, but okay, fine. But Anthony Davis was hobbling around, and good for him that he didn't come out right away, and he wanted to fight through it, and he understood that his team really needed this win. But they should have won. I'm sorry. They blew a 10-point lead with 7.5 to go. I can't just keep patting them on the back all the time. And I understand it was the last game of a 6-game road trip, but they should have won this game and let it slip through their fingers. I mean, the expectation level and the bar has been raised, and every one of those guys in that locker room will tell you the same thing.
I know, dude. I know it's a heartbreaking loss, but I'm telling you, I just go and I look in the way that they're playing, the intensity that they're playing defense with. The thing that really bothers me is it's just the final possession in overtime. I know the rebound is one thing. The final possession in at least in the regular game in the fourth quarter, at least Julius Randle had the ball in his hands.
He did.
But at the end of the game, with R.J. Barrett having the ball in his hands and shooting a 35-foot, prayer, I mean that was deflating to me. Watching the end of that game was the most deflating part of it. I know you say the rebound. I'm sitting there going, R.J. Barrett, this is the best we could do, and he just got stuck.
See, once it got into overtime, and I understand that they were down and took the lead after the big Randall 3, and he was fired up. But once it got to overtime, I was very, very dejected at that point and figured that they weren't going to win the game.
We had two chances to win the game,
right.
dude.
I mean, to me, and I love this team, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm knocking them, but they choked in that game several times. When you're up 10 with 7.5 minutes to go, you blow that lead. Then you have an opportunity to grab a rebound at the end of the game. You don't. Then you miss a shot at the end of regulation. And then you have one of the worst possessions of the worst possession of the entire night with the game on the line in overtime. They choked. They choked down the stretch in that game. And that was annoying to me. I'm sorry. And I know we've been doing this whole, it's great that the Knicks are in this situation, which it is. I don't want to take it for granted, but this game slipped through their fingers. They had no business losing that game. The Lakers had no business winning that game, and they did. So that's what pisses me off today, is that the Knicks lost that game. The Lakers didn't take it from them. The Knicks lost that game last night, and they better come back and win these last three. And you see them drop from 4 to 6. Choke job. Choke job. Choke job in L.A. Big L.A. choke job. That should be the headline. What's the New York Post headline? Oh, pat on the back for the Knicks today? Or is it choke job? Choke City, USA. City of Angels, City of Chokers. That's what happened there. Talked a lot about Dr. Heimlich. Wish he would have been out there in L.A. still alive. All that choking that was going on out there in the Staples Center. Maybe a big pat on the back, grab him, you learn how to do the maneuver. A lot of choking.
I'm going to slap you upside the head. Is what
a lot of choking out there.
Now all of a sudden you're turning on the Knicks.
They should have won the game. You know it, man. I'm telling you. You know it. You sat there and you watched it. You know it.
I just told you what frustrated me was the 2 last possessions that they had to win the game.
Yeah, choke job.
And to have R.J. Barrett have the ball in his hands is just is mind numbing. And
Terrible.
But I just you just have got to calm down.
Why?
You can't just sit here.
So now all of a sudden I got to calm down about. I'm excited about this team and I'm calling it the way it is. I got to calm down.
We got 3 games left.
Yeah, I know, and I'll be excited about it. But last night, and I've said it, I've prefaced it a million times. I love this team. I'm so happy they've given me this season. But these 2 things can exist at the same time. I still love the team, still have faith in them, still think they can get to a conference final. Last night, Choke City. Choke City. They did. Up 10 with 7.5 to go. I mean, it was a choke job.
When I came in here this morning, I was wondering how you were going to be.
Well, it's just really,
it's just really.
LeBron didn't play. It's not like he played and came back and scored 40 points.
It's not like the Lakers don't have any players in their team.
I know. Well, Anthony Davis got hurt in the game, too. Everything was there for you, and you couldn't finish.
And you want to know something? When the Knicks were trying to get Andre Drummond and they couldn't get him to come to the Knicks and he ended up going to the Lakers, you saw why the Knicks wanted him last night. Oh,
whatever.
But I'm just telling you that was his decision to go there. He didn't want to come to the Knicks, and the Knicks were shorthanded again. I mean, I don't know. We talked about the 6-game road trip. You were like, well, 3-3 would be okay.
It would be.
But even Julius Randle said we wanted to be 5-1 on this road trip. They believe that they could have been 5-1. That's a big hurdle that they've gotten over.
They should have won the game.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm trying to tell you.
I'm frustrated too, but you sit here
won the game.
and you're calling your team that you've been rooting for all year long. Choke job.
Last night they did.
What is that?
It's the truth. It's the truth is what it is. It's the truth. I mean, I have talked about them and I've given them accolades throughout this entire year. I was the first guy to say Julius Randle MVP. I was positive about them last year.
You weren't the first guy. I was the first guy.
So bull crap you were. No, you've been following in my footsteps with the Knicks. You had your head so far up the Rangers' ass all year. I was telling you what was going on.
I'm going to tell you right now. I am not abandoning the Knicks like you are right now.
I'm not abandoning them at all.
Yes, you are. You're calling them choke jobs.
Yeah, that's not abandoning them. It's calling it the truth.
That's basically calling out your team saying that they choked last. They didn't choke. They played their asses off.
Okay, but they didn't finish.
And their best player had a chance to win the game in regulation, and he didn't.
Well, you know what? Things have changed. You're a playoff team now. You got to finish the job.
Wow.
You do.
You are.
Got to finish your job.
That was a great basketball game last night.
Right, and they lost. It was a great basketball game, and they lost that opportunities to win. They were up 10 in the fourth quarter, and their best player didn't play, and their second best player was hurt in the middle of the game.
I can't believe you're screaming
and they
like
couldn't
this.
finish. And the Knicks had the ball in the best player's hands at the end of the game, and they couldn't finish. And then Wesley Matthews wanted it more than Derrick Rose at the end of the game. Those are facts. So, doesn't mean that they're going to be like that for the rest of the year, but last night, that's what happened.
You are really just absolutely, like, just throwing a wet blanket over everything. It's
not a wet blanket.
It's amazing.
Not.
I mean, like,
not
last
a wet
night
blanket.
we get the Yankees and we get the Mets win. The Mets win was unbelievable, by the way. And then, of course, this Knick game is just insane. And, of course, what were you thinking when it goes in overtime? Of course it's going into overtime.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the moral victory stuff, I've turned the page on that now.
I'm not about moral victories. I'm about what I saw last night.
Could have fooled me.
And what I saw was a team that was shorthanded playing its ass off.
Pats on the back.
It was a great game last night. It was the final game of the 6-game road trip. They're out in L.A. You know, the NBA didn't do them any favors, give them that tough schedule.
This is what you get when you play here.
Jesus God.
This is what you get when you play here.
All right,
you want to go out to Milwaukee and pat the Bucks on the back for getting knocked down in the second round.
Busting its ass all year long.
Yeah,
man.
I know, and I've been watching it.
And you know what? It's worthy of our.
You're watching Oilers Stars at night or whatever.
No, I'm not watching Oilers and Stars.
And I'm watching the NBA, and then all of a sudden you're in here, you pat them on the back. Moral victory guy all of a sudden.
I'm not a moral victory guy. You know what I am? I'm a guy that appreciates hustle.
I appreciate it too. I also appreciate finishing the job when you're up 10 in the fourth quarter.
Appreciate real coaching. Having pride brought to an organization that has lost it for 20 goddamn years.
Exactly.
So finally, we got a team, and I'm not turning on them like you are.
I'm not turning on them.
Yes, you are.
I'm just raising the expectations.
They choke. I mean, that's turning on them.
That's not turning on them.
That's turning on them.
That's not turning on them. In no way is it turning on him. It's
turning on
calling
him.
it what it is.
Turning on him.
I mean, everybody's just so happy with losing.
Nobody's
last
happy
night.
with losing. I'm not happy. I didn't come in here and say I was happy. I said it was a great game, and I said I was frustrated by the way that it ended. Our best player had a chance to win the game in regulation.
Right, he didn't. And then you also had an opportunity to grab a rebound to win the game. And that last possession, in overtime.
There was also a 24-second violation, too.
I mean, man.
God, the Lakers played a little defense, too. That's why that game last night was real. That was a hockey game on wood.
Okay. It was also a choke job on wood, is what it was.
You know what? Stop with the choke stuff. I can't handle it.
All right, well, stop with the moral victory stuff. I could only hear so much
of it. It's not like Russell Westbrook's running around out there.
What do you mean?
Or Bradley Beal or, Anthony Davis or LeBron James or Paul George and, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, look at the collection of Knicks players that they have.
You just mentioned 2 players on Washington. That team is still under 500.
But if you put one of those players on the Knicks, now all of a sudden the Knicks are ascending. I mean, when I think about this Knicks team, and I told you this yesterday, you have this revelation in Julius Randle, who came back in great shape and was out to prove a point and to get a new contract. It's great. Then you also have the addition of Derrick Rose, who came in the middle of the season, who has been nothing but a great
I get it.
Knicks
I've
player.
heard. We don't have to go through the history of the Knicks team this year.
I'm just sitting here.
What happened last night is they should have won the game. They should have won it.
This isn't Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden when they want to play.
Yeah, I know.
That's
the Knicks team that's played their ass off and they should have won last night.
That's
You ask everyone else guys that
$21 million in 3 players, and I think about the Knicks play. Yeah, they all thought and believed they should have won. Yes, but I'm not going to come in here and scream and yell and tell them that they're choke jobs.
Yeah, it was last night.
Absolutely not. No way.
Yeah, it was last night. Unfortunately.
No, I'm sorry.
It was.
Sorry. No
unfortunately.
Way.
I mean, you saw the game. You saw the game.
I saw the game, and I'll tell you what. They played their asses off, and they gave me something to be proud of and to look forward to.
Good.
I will say this. Finish this season strong. Well, forget about it. You'll get the number 4 seed.
Hope so.
And bada boom, bada bang, you got a home court advantage.
That's what I want to say. That's what I want to say.
And then you can stop. You can jump back on the boat with us.
No, I'm not off the boat. You're extrapolating my argument into places that I am not trying to bring it. I'm talking about last night in a vacuum.
This is what it sounds like. You can't put it in a vacuum. You got to put the whole season together.
No, I don't.
All games count, not just one game.
Yeah. All right.
Not just one game. Every single game counts.
Yeah, but that's why they play all the games. About every single moment in the context of the entire season.
But
they should have won that game.
You went from saying conference final.
I still believe that those two things can exist at the same time.
Here you go.
You're a broad stroke guy. You watch too much cable news.
With this
broad stroke, one thing doesn't mean everything else. Broad stroke guy.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull yourself out of that world for a minute.
I'm not sitting here saying my team choked.
You're a broad. Yeah, but they did.
Do you know how insulting that word is to an athlete? And you're sitting here screaming and yelling about choking.
Yeah, sweaty palms.
That is about
sweaty palms. They got nervous
after they just beat the Clippers. After they just beat the Clippers.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. I'm talking about what happened last night. Why is it so hard for you to understand?
They busted their ass in a game that the other team gets paid as well. By the way, I don't know if you knew that.
Well. Yeah, well, their 2 highest paid players. One was hobbling with a groin. The other one was sitting here in a Kardashian jumpsuit. I mean, the guy was wearing biker shorts last night and sunglasses. I mean, that's their highest paid player. Wasn't even in a game. Give me that nonsense. They get paid too. All right, Boomer and Gio.
Well, they do get paid a lot.
Yes, they do. We know.
I mean, this is a collection of players that probably will not be together next year. There'll be some of the players that will still be here. But think about the guys that are playing the primo minutes for the Knicks and where they are in their careers.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.